Tonight, bombshell video.
From what I hear, it's going to be horrific.
5 police officers charged with murder in the brutal beating of TYRE NICHOLS. Police bracing for possible outrage once the body cam footage is released.
I want each and every one of you to protest in peace.
Plus,
we think there should be equal justice, equal treatment under the law.
CBN News speaks with the chairman of the House committee taking aim at the Justice Department. And the COVID vaccine gets the flu shot treatment. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. As we await the release of video showing police brutality in Memphis, police in San Francisco release another body cam video showing the attack on Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband. Good evening in Washington. I'm Jenna Browder. We begin with Paul Pelosi and video released today showing him being attacked with a hammer. A warning, the video is extremely graphic. It shows officers approaching the Pelosi's home in the morning hours of October 28th. The intruder, later identified as David DePape, and Mr. Pelosi standing calmly in the foyer, each with their hand on a hammer. DePape raises the hammer and swings it down toward 82-year-old Pelosi, but the impact is not seen. DePape has pleaded not guilty in separate state and federal cases. Video also shows the suspect breaking into the home. In Memphis, a tinderbox police body cam video is set to be released tonight, showing the arrest and assault of TYRE NICHOLS. 5 black police officers face murder charges in his brutal death. In the wake of those charges, Memphis is preparing for possible violence. CBN's Gary Lane has more.
The public awaits the release today of police body cam footage that shows the pepper spraying and brutal assault by Memphis police against TYRE NICHOLS. NICHOLS died after the traffic stop. Memphis police are bracing for possible public outrage once the body cam footage is released. After-school events in the city are canceled today. NICHOLS' mother, Rovon Wells NICHOLS, says she understands the footage is awful, but she doesn't want violence.
But from what I hear, it's going to be horrific. But I want each and every one of you to protest in peace.
The 5 officers involved in the attack on NICHOLS are charged with second-degree murder, assault, and aggravated kidnapping. Steve Mulroy, Shelby County District Attorney General, says although each of the police officers played different roles in the killing, they are all responsible.
Under the laws of Tennessee, second-degree murder is a knowing killing.
Memphis prosecutors say the body cam footage shows officers first used pepper spray on NICHOLS during the traffic stop. That's when the 29-year-old got away from the police. NICHOLS' family says TYRE ran away because he was only trying to get home. Police caught up with NICHOLS, and that's when they brutally assaulted him. An ambulance was called to the scene after NICHOLS complained of shortness of breath. He ended up in the hospital with life-threatening injuries and died 3 days later.
The actions of these officers were awful, and no one, including law enforcement, is above the law.
The charges against the 5 police officers came after an investigation determined they violated a number of department policies, including excessive use of force, duty to intervene, and duty to render aid.
This is not just a professional failing. This is a failing of basic humanity toward another individual. This incident was heinous, reckless, and inhumane.
Speaking through one of their attorneys, the 5 black police officers say they are innocent of the charges against them.
No one is guilty until a jury says they're guilty.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
And in other news, U.S. health officials are looking to make COVID-19 vaccinations more like the annual flu shot. The Food and Drug Administration proposed a simpler approach that would allow adults and children to get a shot once a year. Americans would not have to keep track of the number of shots received or when they got them. The proposal comes as fewer Americans are taking boosters. Vaccine experts advising the FDA met yesterday to come up with a plan moving forward. Medical reporter Lori Johnson is here to break it down. Hi, Lori. So it looks like the expert panel voted on having just one vaccine available to everyone moving forward, and it will be whatever shot is most recently, as the most recent version. Does that also apply to people who've never been vaccinated?
It does. And so really what the FDA is trying to do here, Jenna, you know, vaccines have been very controversial. We all know that. They've been around for 2 years. Can you believe that the first vaccines were rolled out over 2 years ago? But since that time, there's been so much controversy. But one thing everyone can agree on is that the recommendations have been confusing. Very confusing. So really what the FDA is trying to do here is make the process of getting vaccine, the recommendations, more simple. So for example, right now, if you want to get the newest booster, the bivalent vaccine that was released in September, bivalent means that it has the original strain and the Omicron strain in it. You can only get it if you've also had the original strain. But what they decided to do yesterday was get rid of that original strain, and that everybody gets the bivalent vaccine, even if you've never had that original shot. And moving forward, whatever the most recent vaccine, whatever the most recent booster has been developed, that's the one that everybody gets, regardless of their past history with vaccines.
Yeah, streamlining the whole process. The FDA has yet to vote on when to recommend people get their shots. Are they leaning towards recommending one shot every fall, like with the flu?
Yeah, they didn't vote on that yesterday. There's still some controversy because while COVID is sort of like the flu, there's one huge difference, and that is the flu is very seasonal. We hardly see any flu outside of the winter months. But with COVID, as you well know, we've seen peaks and surges in the middle of the summer. But it does look like they are leaning towards recommending a yearly COVID shot in the fall for almost all people, although high-risk people may also be recommended to get it twice a year in the summer and in the fall. And, you know, when you talk about the fall, what the FDA is concerned about is the hospital system, our healthcare system being overloaded in the winter. They want to avoid doing that. We've seen that the last couple winters. Thank God, not this winter, but they want to make sure that during these winter months, when we see things like flu, RSV, we don't also see that peak in COVID hospitalizations as well.
Lori, it appears only about 40% of the highest risk Americans, people who are 65 or older, have gotten the most recent vaccine. Are doctors worried about that?
They really are, and that's a really low number. We're talking about the highest risk group, 65 and over. Only 40% have gotten the most recent bivalent vaccine, and you compare that to the original vaccine, 82% of people over 65 got that original vaccine. And so, yes, doctors are concerned that that high-risk group isn't getting vaccinated. And if you look at some of the reasons, the number one reason is they are confused. People are confused about when they're supposed to get it, where they're supposed to get it. They're sometimes hard to come by. You need appointments where they used to be easier to get before. And so, you know, with simplifying this process, the health officials are hoping more people will get vaccinated.
All right, CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson. Thank you, Lori. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, you too.
And when we come back, CBN's interview with Jim Jordan, the head of a House committee investigating the Justice Department.
Come home to the sounds of Southern Gospel from CBN Radio. You'll enjoy a rich Southern blend of bluegrass, classic gospel, and Southern gospel favorites like the Gaithers, the Crab Family, and bluegrass sounds like Mountain Faith. So make yourself at home with the all-new CBN Southern Gospel. Now available at cbnradio.com.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, you know, to lead, just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back. One of the first things the new Republican-controlled House did as Congress gavelled in was create a new panel dedicated to investigations. The Weaponization of Government Select Subcommittee vows to act as a check on ongoing Department of Justice investigations. And CBN's Matt Galka has more on what the committee hopes to accomplish.
House Speaker Kevin McCarthy named 12 Republicans to this subcommittee, established in part thanks to the negotiations that helped land him the Speaker's gavel. I spoke with the incoming committee chairman, Ohio Republican Jim Jordan, on what they hope to accomplish.
If you think about in the last couple years, every right we enjoy as Americans under the First Amendment has been attacked. Your right to practice your faith, your right to assemble, your right to petition the government, freedom of press, freedom of speech.
Jordan sees the new panel focusing on the Justice Department, FBI, and other agencies he believes have gone after conservative Americans under the Biden administration. The committee will have wide-ranging authority. Jordan lists the treatment of parents by school boards, social media censorship, and investigations into former President Donald Trump as likely issues on the docket.
We don't want a political justice department because if you have a political justice department, this great country, the greatest country ever, America is not America if you have a justice department that's political. And that's scary, and so many Americans now think it is. And you've seen the different treatment of Trump versus how Clinton and Biden are treated. You see it time and time again.
To Democrats, the committee is an opportunity for Republicans to air grievances, partly because of how the Democrat-led January 6th committee carried out its investigation into Trump's role in the post-election riot.
It's my expectation that we will be actively involved in pushing back against any efforts to obstruct justice through the Weaponization Subcommittee or to protect insurrectionists through the Weaponization of Government Subcommittee.
How do you avoid, I guess, in the eyes of a voter, this not just being a GOP revenge tour and rather actually getting substantial work done?
They made it personal. We're making it about the American people. We think there should be equal justice, equal treatment under the law. We think that's a hallmark of our system. We think you should not favor one political persuasion over the other. We think that when you have pro-life activists exercising their constitutional right, they should be given the same treatment as anyone on the left. But we don't see that.
Democrats are expected to seat 9 members to the Republicans' 12. House Minority Leader Jeffries said those members should be named soon. Matt Galka, CBN News.
Thank you, Matt. Holocaust Remembrance Day. Up next, with anti-Semitic attacks on the rise around the world, why it's more important than ever to never forget.
Too often, we carry baggage from our past. You know what it's like. It affects everything and everyone in our lives. It's always there, weighing us down and keeping us from achieving true happiness. But do you know God never meant for us to be trapped in the past? You can be free of your baggage. Learn how God's forgiveness leads to changed lives and new beginnings. Call the 700 Club.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel. Tikkun Olam.
This is our nature as a country.
To make the world a better better place.
Literally, we felt the earth shaking.
The Christian Broadcasting Network presents To Life, how Israeli volunteers are changing the world.
This film needs to be seen by everyone.
I was in tears.
Now you can own the inspiring documentary To Life on DVD.
There is blood on our hands if we know and we walk away.
I'm so grateful that this film was made.
To Life can be yours for a gift of $10 or more. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
We know that every minute counts to save life.
It'll bless Israel, but it'll also bless all the friends of Israel.
Discover the untold story of how Israeli volunteers are making the world a better place. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com to get your copy today.
Tonight, at least 5 people are dead after a Palestinian terrorist opened fire outside an East Jerusalem synagogue. At least 5 others are wounded in one of the deadliest attacks on Israelis in years. Israeli police officers shot and killed the gunman. The killings one day after Israeli troops killed 9 Palestinians in a raid in the West Bank. The bloodshed spilling over in Israel comes on Holocaust Remembrance Day and at a time of heightened anti-Semitism and hate around the world. The Simon Wiesenthal Center released its annual report on the top 10 global anti-Semitic incidents in 2022. Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl has more on this scourge that is sweeping the globe.
According to 2022 Top 10 Worst Global Anti-Semitic Incidents, the Wiesenthal Center put American rapper Kanye West at the top, saying his actions released a tsunami of hate.
This is a man, before everything fell apart, had over 50 million individuals between Twitter and Instagram. Over 50 million people. When he spoke, people bought whatever item it was that he was selling. Unfortunately, for reasons we're still not sure, at a certain point, he turned his attention to vilifying the Jewish people.
West made a number of anti-Semitic comments and during a December interview praised Adolf Hitler.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
Rabbi Cooper says this behavior injects hatred into the mainstream.
You have people saying, some of the black extremists, saying, you're not even the real Jews. We love what Hitler did. He went after you because he knew who the real Jews were. Anyone who has any education knows what the Nazi ideology was. It was all based on racism and in race. And, given the opportunity, God forbid, if they had won, imagine what would have happened to black people.
Concerned about the spread on social media, Cooper went directly to Elon Musk after the billionaire acquired Twitter.
In this new free speech, non-censorship era, that he would find a way to deal with extremism and hate speech targeting not just Jews, but all groups.
According to the report, FBI Director Christopher Wray confirmed that some 63% of all religion-based hate crimes in the U.S. target Jews, who make up only 2.4% of the U.S. population.
You have now, in the recent hate crimes in the last few days and weeks, you see spray painted, Kanye was right. It used to be Hitler was right. So we have seen already the weaponization of those words into deeds. It's been a horrific year.
The January attack on a Texas synagogue by an Islamic extremist from the UK also made the top 10.
Shows up on Sabbath morning at the Coleyville synagogue, comes inside, takes the rabbi and the rest of the people there hostage for hours because he wants to get the release of a prisoner at a federal penitentiary nearby who's a woman affiliated with ISIS. So that is not just a hate crime, that's terrorism.
Cooper believes local law enforcement needs additional support in order to be more responsive to these hate crimes.
You feel that especially in the larger cities, so New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, where religious Jews have been accosted and attacked on the streets directly because some of the people doing those terrible deeds feel, A, they probably won't be arrested, not immediately, although there are cameras around, and then if they are brought in by the PDs, who are trying their best, You have cashless bail in New York.
One of Cooper's bigger concerns is what's happening on America's college campuses,
where the demonization of Jews and calling into question even as high as the UN, maybe it never should have been a Jewish state, maybe it's not a legitimate thing, they stole people's land, it's apartheid, it's colonialism. What it is, it's a nonstop asymmetrical war against the Jewish state. And in terms of the local Jewish community or students and sometimes faculty, they're roadkill to these campaigns.
And he emphasizes that it's not just in the U.S.
Others include the statements that are made by a variety of diplomats working for the United Nations, specifically UN Human Rights Council. Extreme anti-Israel bias. The new special rapporteur for Palestinians, a woman from Italy, is an anti-Semite. And the problem there, again, it's human rights, it's the United Nations, and there is no price to pay.
One high-profile event happened at a joint press conference with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas in Berlin. At one point, Abbas said Israel was guilty of 50 Holocausts against the Palestinians. It took the chancellor a day to respond.
There are millions of Europeans who want to believe, in fact do believe, that what the Nazis did to the Jews in the 1930s and 40s, Israelis are doing to the Palestinians today. So when he gives that speech, he knows exactly what he's doing, who he's trying to reach, to promote and spread another big lie, and to do it in Berlin, of all places.
Cooper points to the Abraham Accords as one of the biggest accomplishments leading to positive change because leaders on both sides were willing to take risks.
One of the greatest disinfectants for bigotry and stereotypes is you actually meet someone. You meet the other.
He says the Jewish people need allies to stand with them in this fight. Cooper adds the overall goal is to remove anti-Semitism from mainstream culture and put it back in the gutter where it belongs. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Julie, and joining us now, Dan McMillan, historian and author of How Could This Happen? Explaining the Holocaust. Dan, good to have you with us this evening. As we reported, as we just heard Julie say, that we're seeing a huge increase in anti-Semitic attacks, violence, and hate across the globe. Being Holocaust Remembrance Day, Dan, why is it so important to remember and to study the Holocaust? All right, I think we were having a few technical issues with Dan. We're going to go take a break, and we'll be right back.
It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible, yes, Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
region's first ROTC graduate student.
In the international race to dominate space, military experts say the United States cannot afford to lose. Enemies eyeing it as the next major battleground already have the weapons to target America's most valuable assets, satellites. National Security Correspondent Caitlin Burke reports on the threat environment in space.
U.S. military and commercial satellites are critical for communication, surveillance, and navigation. And to our adversaries in the space race, they're attractive strategic targets.
Just a couple of months ago, the Russians fired a missile. Now, they shot their own satellite, but they destroyed a satellite that was in orbit. And they did that to demonstrate both to the United States and our allies that they had the capability to take out satellites.
And Russia has threatened to do just that if the U.S. continues to provide critical support and certain weaponry to Ukraine.
So they have ways to do this. They have capabilities to do this. And so the very fact that they said they might consider it is problematic for the United States.
China is also a player, as part of its rapid military modernization effort focuses on space technology.
China has the means and has had the means for a long time to disable our satellites, either with direct ascent weapons that actually destroy them, with on-orbit capabilities that involved electronic warfare and directed energy.
While the threat environment has increased, experts like Mike Rogers, former chair of the House Intelligence Committee, say the U.S. has known about this problem for a long time and is taking action.
One of the reasons the Space Force was created is because to focus on this notion that we are vulnerable in space, the United States is. And so that was a good start.
U.S. defense officials have also recently put Russia and China on notice, announcing that attacks on satellites could warrant a military response.
To defend our country and prevent conflict, we will rely on integrated deterrence. To make it clear to any potential adversary that the risk and the cost of aggression far outweigh any conceivable gains.
The U.S. and Japan recently announced a new space collaboration focused on research, exploration, and mutual defense. A new phase in that alliance that sends a strong message. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. And finally tonight, video gone viral, this time of a father singing a worship song to his premature son and his son's precious reaction. Daniel Johnson was singing Hallelujah Here Below to his son at Baylor Scott and White Medical Center in Texas. His son Remington was born 4 months early and given a low chance of survival. Now, 2.5 months old, Remington responded to his dad singing. Take a look.
Hallelujah, hallelujah.
Oh, and that is beautiful. Remington's reaction bringing tears to his dad's eyes. Johnson captioning the video, giving God all the praise he deserves. That's a beautiful moment and a beautiful singing voice that he has. I'm glad that he posted that for all of us to share. Well, that's going to do it for Faith Nation tonight. We hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.